What is up? How you doing, guys? Hey MG, Let's Mars, Buddy Langford, DC Woodworking. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to the Aussies. We're heading into the weekend, guys. Half an hour and we get our Saturday candle. So what did Friday throw at us? What did Friday throw our way? Let's see. Now the S&P 500 is a lot to sort of draw or pull sentiment from. Let's see. Now okay, this was Friday last week. Now I remember last weekend was a 3-day weekend. So we had a 3-day weekend just like in between last week and this week. So this was the Tuesday, this was the Wednesday, this was the Thursday, and then this was Friday today. How did it go? 4 days of trading this week. All of them red, unfortunately. So as we head into this weekend, basically we've fallen some 3%, almost 3.5% on the stock market. Well, at least for the S&P 500. So surprisingly, the most volatile days this week was day one, which is, you know, not usual. Usually it's the final 2 days that see the biggest moves. But if you take the move from up here, like where we closed on Thursday to where we opened on Friday, that's a significant drop. That's quite the gap too. Makes me think, shit, is this gonna fill? Like, is this gap gonna get filled? And check it out, like, look how, you know, I was talking about our support trend that was coming in from like back in October, right? All the way up. Initially, we reacted positively to that trend. We found support. However, we could not hold for long, could we? We got below it. Friday was ugly as hell. Like we got below our support line, and now we've capped it as resistance a couple of times here. Like it seems to be that's what we're dealing with now. So I would say, you know, like at least from a higher time frame perspective, let me just zoom back in. So, you know, this support trend is looking like this could be a break in the support. So we have to be cautious. You know, the next line of defense for the bulls would be this descending trend line here, which, as we all know, comes from the all-time high on the S&P 500. So if we can, like, if we have to come down, then hopefully we get support off the top of it. And then you could see this as like a more of a bigger picture. Let me get rid of these blue lines. Like a bigger picture back test of that line, because we haven't really come back to test it significantly. Like this was a very obvious breakout, but now it's hooked. It's actually hooked up. So break, hook. Now there is something called a break, hook, and go. So if we find support on that trend line, we could be looking at a reapproach to this resistance zone here. So right here. But, you know, for all intents and purposes, we could obviously like break this and actually continue the bear market. It could happen. Like maybe we get a retest of these lows here. But yeah, let's take it one step at a time here. This could just be a dirty like trap here for the bit, like a bear trap per se, because we know what happens on the top side, right? We get a bull trap. You know, we break through a resistance, you know, for a short period, and everyone gets bullish, right? Much the same as we break through a support, it could cause people to get bearish, you know, before maybe we see a return to levels above that support. So, you know, like we really could come back up here and regain access above the support. And that would be like, you know, a dirty retest or a fake out or a bull trap, a bear trap, sorry. You know, it's just, and then I can see if you look left, it's a beautiful retest of this low right here. I mean, almost to the dollar, like almost to the decimal, right? Not quite. There's a bit of a gap there, but look, it's very close. So yeah, if you're ever looking to try and find out where something might pull up and find support, look left and look at the major pivots. There's a pivot here. There's a whole bunch of pivots here. That'd be hard to sort of pick out what one provides the support, but I guess the most obvious point would be that, because it's the most extreme. It turned that into that. So that to me is another line in the sand. Yeah, line in the sand there, line in the sand here, and then obviously down here as well. So these are some extreme lows that we could be facing if we do lose this trend line. Okay, so that's enough about the stock market. That's pretty much how things have rounded out for this week. It was just a week of correction, really. Seeing a correction in the market. And here we are. Look at the way that intersects. You know how I was talking about intersecting lines before on another stream? Look at that intersection there, caused by this low, and then obviously our big long-term trend lines here. Crazy how that happens, huh? All right, symmetry and geometry. That's kind of like what technical analysis is at the end of the day. You're looking for like, you know, just critical levels and intersections, that kind of thing. All right, let's go to Bitcoin again. What do we got? About 20 minutes left. 22. So just from a short-term perspective, you know, as we're rounding out the Friday, we don't have any further influence from the S&P 500 or any other US stock markets or indexes. So this could very well be our low. Sorry, let's go back to Bitcoin. This could be our low for the weekend set, right? I don't know, like obviously no one knows what's going to happen, but you know, I'm thinking support above 23,000 may be a trend that we see for the next 2 days as we sit through Saturday, Sunday, you know. And then we have to sort of figure out, well, if that's the case, like if we do hold 23 as support, then what's been the theme the last like 6 weekends that we've had? I mean, one of them was a bit lower, like this one here was a bit of an exclusion from that combo, but it was 1K range, 1K range, you know, again. So if we're looking for a $1,000 range and we're assuming or we're projecting that this is going to hold a support, then yeah, maybe we do bounce between 23 and 24 over the next 2 days. You know, so if I was to draw out a weekend box, like I've been doing, wait, let's get one similar to this. Just copy it. Okay. And my weekend starts at 10 a.m. Saturday morning. Okay, so that's the length and time of a weekend. If we're dealing with a $1,000 range, let's say our low gets set in at 23 and our high gets set in at like 24, that would be a 1K range. So let's see how we go. I mean, that could be the weekend that we deal with. You know, it would be cool to see price come up and at least retest that level, because we got rejected off it a couple of times here. It found support here somewhat. And remember, this was this line that I was looking at yesterday. That was, you know, that was my like line in the sand, that line, which has obviously since been broken. So it's no longer a thing. I'm going to delete that actually. And we're dealing with what may be the start of a new falling wedge. You know, if we're to break out of this larger rising wedge that we're in on Bitcoin, then let's play that out. Okay, so if we take that pivot there and line it up with the pivot that we just pulled in, and that would be a support trend. And then we want to know where the resistance has been. So let's get a ray again. I'm going to zoom in a little bit actually, so we can pick out the points, the pivots. All right, right about there. I think this is the resistant. Yeah, like something like this, right? And let's go resistance trend, lock. Okay, so that's actually quite an obtuse like falling wedge right there. Acute would look something more like the one that we just came out of below, but it's quite steep here but shallow on the support side. So I don't know what that means, but maybe it means it's kind of bearish, you know. So yeah, look, I don't know what's going to happen here. That's my gut feeling, is that we do this range for the weekend. I don't know if it's going to be a $1,000 range like the other, you know, 5 of the previous 6 have been a $1,000 range weekend, or, you know, maybe it's worse than that. Maybe we get like a $300 range. I don't know. We'll see. Let's find out. So what do we got? Like almost about 16 minutes left of the day. And we are approaching the end of the month as well. I think Tuesday is the last day of the month. Yes, Tuesday the 28th of February. So March is fast approaching. And from a monthly perspective, let me hide everything. Let's just look at the candles. And what have we got for a monthly February candle? Is basically a doji. We all know that January was a very handsome bullish engulfing candle, getting way above the previous, you know, 4 months, and then, you know, almost competing with that August candle. February saw the highs of August, but could not break out above it. So it's a very significant level, seemingly enough, right? It's your halfway point between the previous all-time high of 20K and then the bull market support of 30K. So you know how we did that big bounce at 30? That is a very significant price level, 30,000. So just naturally, midpoint between 20 and 30, 25. So maybe that's why we're capping the resistance there, because it's just, keeping things range bound, so to speak. So if we go back on the daily chart, I know I keep coming back to this every stream, but this is our environment right now. We're in this sort of range. Not necessarily a bull market, not necessarily a bear market. It's just chopping sideways off the back of a bear market. So there's evidence of stability here. Like, we're finding some kind of stability, I think. Like, obviously the momentum has slowed right down for the sell-off. I think the damage has been done. Obviously there's possibilities that it can go further down, but I think obviously the bulk of the damage to price has already been done since all-time high. Do we get fresh new lows? Early to say that. I think it's early to call for brand new lows below 15.5. But not saying it's impossible. So we just have to play it day to day. Let's see what the market throws at us. My feeling is, or my theory is, that there's a lot of buyers or a lot of people that have seen this move. It's a very significant move, right? And they're thinking, shit, I missed it. Like, if Bitcoin goes back below 20K, I'm snapping it up. So you've got to imagine the demand for Bitcoin down here was low because everyone was scared as anything, right? Including myself. Like, I was fearing further moves down. Like, I was thinking, okay, 14,000 is on the cards, maybe 12, maybe 10, right? But so it was very uncomfortable to have any kind of bullish outlook in this area, and I don't blame anyone if they did have the same issue as me with that. But now that we've seen evidence of a really sharp tick up here, getting above these previous highs, I think the sentiment has totally shifted. People's opinion on the bear market, I think you got a lot of people changing their stance, and they're just not buying at these levels because it's, everyone knows it's dangerous to buy the highs. We've just pulled in a huge move, initially up to 24, then 25K as a second high there, which is hugely bearish divergent, by the way. And this pullback, I think people are going to be lining up to buy it, to be honest. I don't think it's going to get back below 20K. Not without a fight, anyway. I just think the demand's going to come in. As Bitcoin pulls back, people would be lining up, no doubt. I don't think people are running from Bitcoin like they were in these capitulation events. People were like running for the safety of cash. And now, we're starting to step out. We're stepping out into the light. We're getting out of the cave, so to speak. So, trend is up. It's looking cool. Let's check out those moving averages. I haven't sort of talked about them in a hot minute. So just the simple moving averages on the daily, still dealing with that golden cross. The weekly death cross is still a thing, and we are seemingly finding it hard to crack above that 200 weekly moving average. It just hasn't happened yet. We've had a couple of snaps at it, but all we can get are wicks. We can't get any candle closes at or above that 200 weekly moving average. So, maybe we do hold underneath for a couple more weeks, maybe a few more weeks. Maybe there's a retest of some kind of higher support here than the previous support, and we get that launch pad that we need to really bust through that 200 weekly move, or weekly moving average. So jumping back to the daily, trend is intact, honestly. Like, there's no threat to the trend unless we get below the November high here, which is 21,500, just to give you a round number. That to me is like a significant level of support. So if we lose 21.5, then I think we're bearish again. We're going lower on the daily chart, because it's a change of character, Something else I could see happening, we could get a very nasty head and shoulders off this. So if we're calling this the first head, shoulder, left shoulder, and then this move was head, and then if we come down and like retest that November high, find support and rally back up, but then fail to get higher or retesting that head, that would be your shoulder, and then maybe that's what causes a correction, back down sub 20k. Just a theory, right? Early days, it's early to call any kind of head and shoulders, but it's possible, right? That's something that could happen. What else we got here, indicator wise? Let's look at some oscillators. And off the EMAs and the Bollinger Band. So we got just your standard RSI with divergences, and then we've got the stochastic RSI. Now, we were talking the other day about the daily stochastic crossing and then re-entering the zone. So that's coming down pretty rapid. So that's good. That's a good thing. Maybe we can get this over and done with, this move down on the stochastic daily RSI, and get a bit of activity here, and then cross back up for another move up, like maybe something like that, where we come back to test that November high, that pre-FTX collapse high from over here is the November high. So significant level, that November high. Also the September high. Remember, Queen Elizabeth died on the 8th of September, like roughly at that doji there. And then we rallied big time after that. That was a pretty big move, quite rapidly. And we capped out and made a September high. So we've got the August, September, and then November high. The rejection was very quick and violent, a very fast drop. On the 13th of September. It was almost, Anyway, pulled back, found some kind of like triple bottom here, like 1, 2, 3, almost an inverse head and shoulders or something like that, right? And then began rallying up, forming that November high. So September high, November high, pretty deep lines in the sand. Evidence of that, November high had resistance on the way up here. Remember how we had to have a break for like 5 days before continuing to test that September high. So there's the November high. September high, we actually broke through it. Initially there was some resistance, but we broke through it and started using it as like a support level. And yes, we broke back down below to test the November high as support, and we found it, and then catapulted up to test that August high, which is the highest point, right? So cool, that's where we're at. I see the move down that just happened as basically a retest of the September high, significant line in the chart, right? So these yellow lines is what I see as significant as sort of support resistance levels, right? So every other level, like pivot that we're looking at, like even this pivot and like this pivot, these are all sub pivots. They're not as important and critical as these yellow ones. So I think that's a big reason as to why Bitcoin has seemingly found support, at least for now, as we're moving back up. So we've got 5 minutes left on the Friday candle here, so we're about to head into the weekend. This box has shifted a little. Let me just move it here. So that's where the weekend begins, and that's where the weekend stops. No long weekend this weekend, thank God. Just a standard 2-day weekend. In the last few minutes here, Bitcoin has been rallying, which is cool. The last hour. Is this some kind of weird inverse head and shoulders? You know, is that suggesting some kind of move up? Maybe. Where's the neckline? It's a very weird neckline. It's like that. So if we break back above that, yeah, maybe that's the fuel we need to come up and back test. But let's see how the day rounds out. If we go back to the daily chart, Friday was very ugly. Massive correction. Congratulations to anyone that got in some shorts during that, because I think the alts fell pretty hard too. Now obviously this Friday, this red candle here on Friday, I've got it purple, but the S&P 500 is to blame for that. I mean, look at the stock market. Look at how Friday performance was for the US stock market. Not great, not strong. But Harsi says 200% bear. Yeah, well, it could happen. Yeah, we could get further corrective price action off the back of this. But let's see what we get. I mean, we're at September high support line. If we hold it, then awesome. If we lose it, then I think the next line in the sand there, and the last line of defense for this bull trend, is the November high, which is where we found support a couple of weeks ago, right? Just that scooping low. As for the rising wedge that we're in here, could it fall out and start correcting out of this rising wedge, like on this current shift down? Yeah, it could. Can it find support and go up for another retest of the top? Also a possibility, right? That's the cool thing, we get to find out. So far, like as it stands at this moment in time, it's found support. Can that end soon? Yeah, it can. It's possible, right? But for now, that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a support at September high of 22,800-ish. You could argue its support's been found at 23, with just, you know, a couple of wicks going through it as like a bit of a swing failure kind of behavior. We've got 26 people watching the stream. What's up, guys? Smash up the like button if you haven't already. 27 people. Things are shaking up. What have we got in minutes? We got less than 2 minutes to go. I wish something exciting happened at the turn of the daily candle. It would be it'd be cool if it picked up the volatility somehow. We got Jules in the room. What's up, Jules? Shout out to Jules. He's an Elliott Wave trader. He's learning Elliott Wave, so he's gonna actually come and he's gonna come and do a stream via this channel, and you know, you get to sort of get a taste for what he talks about and what his method is. And if you like what you see, I'm sure, no doubt, he'll share his YouTube channel with you guys. And I'm all for it. Like, you know, if he wants to launch that whenever he's comfortable. No rush, no pressure. But yeah, I think he's got a lot of good stuff to talk about with Elliott Wave. He's onto something there. Melis Metal Fab, you're welcome. You're most welcome for my info. It's always a pleasure coming on here and speaking what I think. It may not always be right, but it's kind of like practice. I mean, I benefit from it too. Like me actually vocalizing what I think, you know, I'm actually putting it out there. And me talking through it helps me understand it better too, you know. So maybe you guys could consider doing that if you want to get better at technical analysis. Start a channel up, you know. Get talking about it if you think you're onto something that people aren't talking about. Like this is a great way to share your idea or like get feedback on it, you know. Yeah, it's good fun too. So we've got the daily close. Friday was pretty bloody, like huge correction. I mean, not the worst we've seen, but it's significant enough to mention it. Pretty bloody Friday there. What's the weekend bringing? What's Saturday gonna unfold for us? I know you guys in the US are still Friday night, but UTC and TradingView, in TradingView terms, Saturday has just begun. I think you're in America. You guys are what, UTC on the East Coast? You guys are UTC -5 at the moment, and then -4 when daylight savings kicks in. I think daylight savings kicks in for you guys on the East Coast. Let's see, New York daylight savings for this year, the 12th of March. So 2 days before CPI, you guys go back to UTC -4, which is an hour forward from where you are now. So you're 4 hours behind the daily candle close. Currently 5 hours behind the daily candle close. So look at the way the SPY closed out on the hourly. That hourly, like, doji is kind of scary looking. Like, what the hell does that mean? 10 points to whoever can figure out what that's called and what it means when you see a doji like that forming at the top of some kind of rise there. So yeah, Bitcoin, daily. Full screen, yeah. Daily close. D Johnny is on the daily candle close. Awesome. Are you in the UK, I'm guessing? You are UTC 0 hours. Something that I've been watching, and shout out to Expectus because he was talking about it months ago, was FET or Fetch AI. It's an AI coin, right? And it's been doing very well this year. I think up from the like, if you were to buy it in that first week of January, like around here, and you held it through, it's gone up well over 550%, like raw percentage, 560 even. That's crazy. That's like a bull market move right there. And it's still healthy. This uptrend is still intact. It's done a nice big scoop, yes, granted. I actually caught up a bit of a scalp on it this morning. Made a few bucks, so that was cool. But yeah, it's been nice and volatile. Fetch. I'm pretty sure it's on. It's on Binance. It's on Bybit. But yeah, check the exchange you trade on and see if FET is available. FET ticker. As we all know, like, AI is a hot thing at the moment. It's very trendy at the moment. Let me bring up, let's see, we got AI crypto coins. So these are the top AI related cryptos by market cap. So the Graph, GRT, has a $1.3 billion market cap. SingularityNet, so AGIX is the ticker for that. That's $500 million, so 500 million. Fetch is still a baby at 386 million, and growing though. It's growing pretty handsomely. Rose, Render, we've seen Render pop up. It's got a very similar market cap to Fetch. Fetch is just ahead of it in the AI list. And we got INJ, Injective, not too bad either. And then Ocean. Ocean's a good one. Ocean Protocol. I've traded Ocean a few times, but it's in the top 10 of the AI related cryptos, right? Artificial Liquid Intelligence, ALI, ALI. That's still, it's only 194 million market cap. That's still, I would consider that a low cap. Anything below, say 250 million is, I would say, a low cap. And then when you get below 100 million, that's, you can think about that number. You can conceptualize $100 million, right? It's like 100 houses. If houses were $1 million, it's about 100 houses worth in value. Just to wrap your head around millions. It gets harder when you start talking about billions and trillions. That's when it gets really tricky to sort of quantify. Because $1 billion is a shitload of money. $1 billion, it's crazy. And the fact that this GRT coin, the graph is 1.3 billion is pretty mind-blowing. What is Bitcoin lately? 500 billion. It's massive, right? That's a lot of money. But when you compare it with the stock market, crypto is a drop in the ocean compared to the stock market. We're only at 1 trillion market cap for crypto, right? We've been higher. We've been to 3. But yeah, we're only a third of the way back to our all-time high. Well, not back because we didn't fall to 0, but yeah, you get what I mean. We've got 1 trillion down, 2 trillion to go to get back to that all-time high. So yeah, there's like sort of like a macro outlook for you. Fetch. What's performing right now? CTX Audio, Dodo, IOST, Bake, Lit, FET, Neo, PBR, RSR, Miner. You can see them down the left. What's getting smashed? Is anything getting hammered right now? APPH, whatever the hell that is. I don't even know if that's a crypto. That's a NASDAQ thing. Oh, that's right. Someone asked me to look at that. I'm going to delete that. PundiX getting hammered. CLV, ARDR. Yeah. Anchor. Okay, Anchor. How did Anchor go? Because we know that they announced that partnership with Microsoft back on this candle here, this wicked candle that came up. And, oh, okay. It's just sort of been bleeding since then. The party's kind of over. People have taken profits. But hey, I think long term still, I think Anchor's, it's legit. If it's partnering up with Microsoft, then Microsoft, they're no dummies. They're one of the biggest companies on the planet. So for them to get friendly with Anchor, that must mean something, right? So yeah, there's a bit of promise there, a bit of hope for some kind of future for Anchor as an altcoin. So let's go back to FET. Hour chart. So yeah, look at the action compared to Bitcoin on the right. FET has been very much doing its own thing. So as Bitcoin has fallen, FET has risen in these last few hours. So it was correlated here, like this run here, both were going up. On this run here, both were going down. On this run here, yep, both were choppy. Yet right here is where it decoupled or like killed that correlation on this candle going up 5% on FET. So it smashed up, Bitcoin crashed, FET's also got a pretty nasty candle there, pulled back but went up again. FET has been on a recovery the last like 8 hours here. Whereas Bitcoin has just sort of stabilized and found support at 23,000. So yeah, not totally correlated, which is cool. We like that because, let's say Bitcoin does crash or goes down further, at least we got some kind of alts that are moving in the opposite direction as some kind of hedge, right? So there's that. That's interesting. Leroy says, why is crypto a threat to World Economic Forum, who announced today to ban it? Jeez, good question. I have no idea. Because the World Economic Forum deals with fiat currency. Crypto is not fiat currency, so that's why they're threatened by crypto. That would be that's my 2 cents. They want control. They're a controlled body, right? The whole point of the World Economic Forum is to have some kind of control over what's happening on the planet. Control isn't always a bad thing, by the way. Control in the sense of like coordination. Like we can't just have a system that's uncoordinated and there's no controls. There's no one sitting at the controls, right? So from that approach, that perspective, I can see why it exists and why the world needs it. But yeah, there's a lot of like opinion over the World Economic Forum and what they get up to. But yeah, screw them, right? That's my opinion at the end of the day. I don't care what they do, as long as they don't ruin this market. Because they want a centralized way to control the people. Yeah, so basically they lose control. Crypto means they don't have control over this value. This $1 trillion of a market is in no one's control. No one's actually controlling it. There's no sort of overarching body that has global control on it. It's an international market. When you think of the US stock market, the NASDAQ is controlled like it's a domestically controlled market. It's got, regulations, strong, strict regulations in place, so as to make it fair. Well, that's the idea anyway. Well, who knows about that? But yeah, that's the whole shtick. That's the whole thing about it. But yeah, look, crypto largely unregulated. The only way that it is kind of regulated is that individual countries have different rules over how their citizens or how their people can interact or partake in crypto trading or usage. So unfortunately for America, you guys are quite restricted in your options for things like leverage and futures and derivatives markets in crypto. Obviously there's workarounds to that people do. I don't promote that, but it's a risk some people take with getting around that. But yeah, like unfortunately we are tied to our region, and each region has their own set of like views and rules and governance around the people interacting with crypto. So yeah, that's where we're at. It's been like that for a while. I think 2019 is when America really cracked down, I think, on their citizens trading derivatives or trading on derivatives platforms like Binance Global, that kind of thing. But yeah, don't know what the future holds. Maybe they invent a whole new department in the government, like in the US government. So rather than the SEC controlling crypto, because that's not really their field. They're trying to claim that it is by like taking a big example is Ripple. They took Ripple to court, right? And they're trying to, muscle up against it. They're trying to suggest that a lot of tokens and cryptos are securities because that's their domain, right? That's what their empowered to control is the securities and the exchanges, which they completely failed with, didn't they? With FTX, they failed to see what was going on with FTX. They had they weren't monitoring what was happening. I mean, there should have been massive hints along the way with FTX, you would think, right? I mean, follow the money. At least go in there and audit these exchanges that are even US based, right? I mean, I don't know if FTX technically was US. There was an FTX US branch, but I think the FTX Global was based somewhere else. But anyway, it's sloppy work, if you ask me, from the SEC. Either they were sloppy and not doing their job properly, or there's some kind of conspiracy to where SEC was letting it happen. Letting it crash, letting it burn because they don't like crypto. Who knows? Everything's a theory until proven otherwise, but or until proven right or wrong, right? So yeah, that's the SEC. It'd be cool if some kind of department came out in the future that actually what's the word? Fostered crypto and helped it and helped the industry grow without harming it. You know what I mean? You want to promote growth in this sector because it's technology, right? It's advancement. If you stand in the way of that, you're limiting or you're stunting the growth of this new technology. So yeah, the real world needs blockchain, I think. Blockchain technology, it's already getting implemented. Companies are already taking advantage of it. Look up any good documentary about cryptocurrency and just blockchain technology, and you'll see that it's not just magic internet money. It actually has real world use case. So yes, there is value there. It is valuable, to have something that operates like blockchain, right? Like these cryptocurrencies use. It's just that it gets viewed negatively because people are using cryptocurrency or using blockchain technology to launch bullshit projects. There's so many shit coins out there. And a lot of them are rug pulls. They'll just come in and make it all look pretty and attract, investors into it. And then, all of a sudden, bang, it drops. The the developer, the team behind it, they off with the money, they run away, they give up. A lot of that has occurred in the past, and it does give crypto a bad rap. Like the whole space gets a bad rap off that, unfortunately. But I mean, where there's opportunity, you're gonna get criminals. That's just the way it is. Criminals exist in any kind of environment or industry, right? People take advantage. It's just human nature. It's inherent, right? You're never going to get something that comes out that makes such, it makes a massive amount of money. Crypto, right? It's a huge space to make very fast, easy money. And obviously it's going to attract criminals. So the sad thing is that people's judgment on crypto is clouded by that, or it's overshadowed by that. So, don't blame blockchain or don't blame the technology for these nefarious people, right? It's kind of like you don't go out and ban cars because someone had a car crash or someone drunk drove and crashed into a tree, or you know what I mean? Killed a pedestrian or killed a family. Horrible thing, right? But you don't go out and ban cars because they are of such benefit to society, right? We need them for our society to function the way it does. We need transportation. It's just an efficiency thing, right? But yeah, there's inherent risk with anything good, there's a balance of bad, right? And I don't think crypto's outside of that. I think crypto's very much has that factor to it, all those facts to it. Like it's gonna have the good with the bad, right? Same with the internet. When the internet came out as a brand new technology, there was a lot of bad to that too, like criminal activity, hacking, all sorts of. You just think of all the bad things that the internet has been the culprit of, right? And then you think of the positives, and obviously the positives outweigh the bad stuff that's happened with the internet, right? And that's my kind of view on crypto as a whole. Is yes, there's bad things, but you get the people that want to shit on it just looking at the bad things, only focusing on that, making documentaries about the bad things, and then just generalizing, just putting it all into a bad basket, the whole thing. Throw the whole thing out because only part of it's bad. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's my rant over. Media always wants people to know that they use it for illegal stuff on the black market too. Yeah, they love that. That's their go-to, right? They're always focusing on the negative, but you never get a puff piece or like a piece that talks up how amazing crypto is. You don't really hear about that in the mainstream. No one really knows the benefits unless they dig for it. People that go online and look up the documentaries that actually speak of the reality of what blockchain's all about and why it would benefit our society, as a technology. So anyway, one of the best things about blockchain and crypto is that it's trustless. You don't need to put your trust in humans for it to operate. Every system we have today, there's nothing that's been trustless. This is the first thing. When you think about the banking system, we have to put our trust in the bank, which is run by a bunch of people, right? People can't be trusted. People do all sorts of shit, when you buy a car, you trust that the manufacturer has built it correctly. You trust that it's efficient and it's not, losing you money on fuel. You trust that it's safe to keep your family safe, if, God forbid, you get into an accident, There's a lot of trust we put in technology and businesses and companies and industries. Trust is all over the place, right? And obviously various industries have different levels of trust. With crypto, yeah, that's the interesting thing about it, is that trustless factor. You're putting your trust into mathematics, really. It's into programming. Do you trust 1 + 1 will always equal 2? Yes. It's maths. It's a very clear system that can't be broken. You can't break 1 + 1 = 2 unless you change something. That's basically how I see blockchain and crypto, right? It's an algorithm that can't be broken. No one has broken Bitcoin. No one has hacked and changed the ledger. It's kind of infallible, right? If you're talking about possibility, yes, there is a possibility that you can hijack Bitcoin. But I'm pretty sure it would soon be recognized that has happened. And I'm guessing that maybe that sort of chain or that block that has been known to be, or has been proven to be corrupt, maybe there's a way to dismiss that part and then carry on where it left off from where it was, true, or before the hijack. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm not a cryptographer. I don't really understand if that would be possible, but Yeah, I have heard theories on, like, you know, if something like that happened, you they can pick up, you know, consent. It's consensus based, like, right, like with the blockchain, like, the only way to validate the block is by the miners. Anyway, I'm sure someone can explain this way better than I can. But anyway, going off on a massive tangent. Anyway, back to, yeah. So that's enough about the fundamentals, right? That's sort of my view on crypto as a whole. I don't think it's going anywhere. I don't think any one government has total control over what happens with crypto. The most influential and powerful government for crypto is, you know, definitely the US. A lot of things happen. Like, I mean, anything that happens in the US has an effect on crypto. Like, it just seems to have an effect, right? CPI data comes out, it has an effect. Funds rate comes out, has a large effect. No other country has the same level of effect on crypto as the US for some reason. That's just the way it is. I think for, like, participation, I wouldn't be surprised if US had the highest numbers of people involved or, like, you know, partaking in crypto. I know there's a lot of, like, random countries out there that have, like, where the government has totally adopted crypto as their, you know, as their thing. I think there was recently a country in Africa where they had some issue with their currency, and they basically, you know, blocked it, or, like, made it impossible to use the native currency of that country, and Bitcoin has been the replacement, you know, in that situation. So I don't know what country that is. Maybe someone in the comments can throw it in there. But anyway, that's something to think about, you know. Go do some research on that shit. Here we are at the weekend, guys. Nice and boring and flat. I don't tend to stream Saturday, Sunday, so you won't see me streaming inside this rectangle. But I'll definitely be here, like, come Monday, Tuesday, to talk about what happened in the box, you know. Not saying that we can't do anything crazy during the weekend. It just hasn't been the case in the last few. Like, everything happens outside the weekend. Like, look, that move was not during the weekend. This move here, not during the weekend. This move here, not during the weekend. This fall here wasn't. This rise here wasn't. This dump wasn't. So a lot of the bigger moves happened during the week because of the stock market factor, right? So you may as well, you know, crypto may as well close during the weekend. It doesn't, but, you know, it may as well. Things go kind of flat, but, you know, with any luck, something happens. Maybe some alts pop off over the weekend. Alts can be different to Bitcoin in this time. So, yeah, keep your eyes peeled. And I'm going to wrap it up here on that note. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Appreciate your support. Petrolhead says, I love your honest opinions, like always. Thanks, Rick. Keep up the great work. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'll be back in a couple of days. We'll see how the weekend went. And anyway, enjoy yourself. Have a good night. Have a good day wherever you are. And see you in the next one.